Good day, and welcome back to my channel, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Having completed the onboarding to Shell Navigations, MS VR, and Git, the next thing you'll do is still the repetition of the Shell Navigations, MS VR, and Git, which is called 0 day. You're still going to do the same thing. And when you're done with the 0 day, this is actually C language, it's not yet time for you to do this. You move straight down to the system engineering and DevOps. So we're going to start working on this in bits. So let's get started. First, you want to look at the shell basics. Okay. Now, if you look at the project here, you're asked to learn about Bash project. Okay. And the first thing in the resources says what is shell, what is navigation, just looking around, a guide tour, manipulating files, working with commands, reading man pages, keyboard shortcuts for Bash, LTS and shebang, right? Then the tools you're going to use or the commands you're going to use basically for this very project is the cd less pwd less file and the rest of them, which you've actually learned during your shell navigation. So let's head straight down to the project, the task. Okay, before getting to the task, let's just look at the general requirements. First, you are allowed to use the editors called VI, Vim, or Emacs. I think you should be familiar with this as of now. I know more of Emacs and VI. So anyone, you can use anyone, but I choose to use Emacs. Now your scripts will be tested on the Ubuntu 20.02 LTS. That means that you're going to run all your scripts on a Linux-based operating system. Okay, all your scripts should be exactly 2 lines long, all right? It should not be more than 2 lines. The first file is always a shebang, and then the second file is what you expected your code to do. All your script should be exactly 2 lines. I've done that before. All your files should end with a new line, and then the first line of all your files should be exactly this very command. It's called shebang. A readme file at the root of a directory or repo, and then you create the files. All right, I think we are almost done with that. Now, you're not allowed to use the backticks, the and, the or, and the semicolon. All right, all your script must be executable. To make your files executable, use the command chmod and then u plus x and then the file name. Later, we'll learn more about this command. Okay, so let's hit straight to what we're expected to do. I'm taking time to explain it line by line so you won't miss out. In order to test your script, you will need to use the command chmod plus x file. You will see later what this does, and then you can look forward to know what chmod does, but that's just called change mode. We'll get to know about that sooner or later in the program. Okay, and the first task here, it's called where am I? And then you're expected to create ALX system engineering DevOps in your GitHub repository, and then you have to create a directory called 0x0 shell basics. All right. Now at this juncture, you got to go to your GitHub. Let's do that quickly. You have to go to your GitHub. All right, this is our GitHub, and then you have to click on repositories. From here, you click new and then create repositories. I won't do that because I've done that already. I have this ALX system engineering developer already, so I'm not going to create that again. This is just for tutorial purpose. So rather than that, I'm going to simply create my ALX system engineering DevOps inside the training folder I've been using for these classes. So let's head straight to launch our sandbox. All right, let's head straight to our web term then. Now I'm going to cd into training T12, that's the folder I use. All right, and then enter. Now, it's supposed to clone your repository, the one you create on your GitHub, to your local terminal. But since I'm not actually creating anyone on the GitHub, I'm still going to use this to give you the tutorials I got to give you. All right, so here we will have, let's make our directory. called, let's look at the name that was given to us. It's ALX system devop. Okay. And this is supposed to be on your GitHub. All right. Don't forget that. Enter. And then we cd into the ALX system devop. Okay. Now, after this, we want to create another one, a directory called 0 times 0x shell basics. So we'll simply copy this and then make directory, paste that there, enter. Okay, we now cd into the 0 shell basics. All right. I just hope you understand what I'm doing. Your own is not going to be this long. It's just going to be ALX system engineering DevOps and then 0x0 shell basics. This training will not be there. Take note. Okay. You're supposed to, you're asked here to write a script that prints the absolute path name of the current working directory. Example, this is given. Okay, now the question is, what is the absolute path name of the working directory? Okay, so having seen the question, you try to relate. If you look at this page provided here, this is supposed to be what you should expect. Now look at this. /0 current working directory, that's the file name. If you run that, you're supposed to have this printed on your screen. The root, the ALX system DevOps, and then the 0 shell basics. So thinking of that, what kind of command do you think we should use to print the current working directory? That's simply pwd. I'm sure you're aware of that. So I'll simply copy my file name, like what I've just done here. Copy the file name, then come here, type Emacs or VI, depending the one you know best. Paste that, then enter. All right. The first content of your file is going to be the shebang, which is !bin/bash. All right. Enter. What is the command to print the current working directory? It's pwd. So simply type pwd, enter, then you can save and exit. Okay. The next step you want to do is to grant permission. That is the chmod space u plus x space, then the file name. I will simply type O, tap, it will complete it for me, then I hit my enter key. Now let's test if our code is actually working. We now use the dot and the slash, the 0 tab key, and then enter. You can see that it's printing our current working directory. And that is exactly what the program is expecting you to do. Because if you look at this, it's printing the absolute path of your current working directory. So you're done with that very one. What you need to do next is what? Push your code to GitHub. All right. You simply need to git add dot git commit -m my current working directory, right? Then git push. That's all for that task. You're done. You're very, very done. So you can check your code and everything is working fine. All right. The next thing here is display the current list of your current directory. If you look at this example, when you have the dot, when you run this executable file, it's going to display it in this manner. So think of it. How do you display the content of your working directory? I guess it's simply ls, all right? So I'll copy this file name because that's what I'm going to be using. Go back. Let's play this screen. Emacs, and then paste the file name, enter. Don't forget your hash bin bash, enter, then ls, Control S, Control C, save the file, and then grant execution or grant permission, U plus X, and then the file name, enter. You're done with that task. You simply git add, git commit, list the files, git push. Okay, we're done with that. You can check your code. That is done. There is no place like home. Write a script that changes the working directory to the user's home directory. You are not allowed to use any shell variables. Okay, now look at this. Maybe I was in my TMP directory, and then when I type bring me home, it's gonna take me back to my Julian directory. You can see that when I type this file name, it's gonna take me back to my home directory. So I'm sure you should know the code to do that. That's very easy. Just try it out. Okay, so you don't know, let's play this. Emacs, let's get the file name to bring me home. Okay, hash bin bash. Bring me home is simply cd, that's all. So you save this and exit this, grant permission, chmod u plus x, and then that file name again. And now git add, git push, git commit. All right, we are done with that. The next one here is the long format. Display current working directory in long format. Okay, let me just give you a little highlight of something here. When you want to write these commands, try to check to ensure that the commands are working perfectly well before pushing them. For instance, just take a look at this. We have total 32, and look at the way it is written on the screen as an example. Okay, now before you actually write the batch program, let's see if our code will work exactly the way we want it to work. Things you are asked to list your content, the content of your current directory. Okay, let's clear this first. We know very well that to list is ls, it listing, but it is not listing exactly the way it is listed here. So how are we going to do that? You're going to use what they call a flag. Now, ls have different flag. We have the -l, we have the -a, we have -l. There are lots of flags that come with ls. For you to know the flags that come with ls, you can simply write ls and then --help. If you look at this, there are lots of flags that you can use with ls, depending on what you want to print. Example, if you use ls-a, that means do not ignore entry starting with the dot. You can see that. If you use the -capital A, it means do not list implied dot and dot dot. There are a lot of flags here. So let's look for the flag that is going to list in a long format. Okay. Now, if you look at here, you have the -l. It says use a long listing format. So we've gotten the answer. That means -l is going to list our work, the current directory, with what? A long listing format. So I can simply clear this screen and then do the ls. minus L, and then enter. Cool. We can now see that what is written here is exactly the way they have it on their screen. So that's what they want you to do. Now, since we now have the answer to the question, we can now go ahead to write the code inside our shebang. So what are we going to do now? We simply write Emacs and then copy the file name, 3 list files. Copy the file name. We will simply paste that here. Okay. ls minus L. All right, we are done with that. Then we grant permission. Okay, so let's test here whether it's working. /3 stop, enter. It's printing exactly the way we wanted it. So that's very correct. You can now push your code. All right, we are done with the first 3 tasks. Let's go to the next one called hidden files. Display current directory content, including hidden files, starting with dot. Use the long format. Okay. Now, there are 3 conditions here. The first condition there is that you need to list. The second thing there is that you must include the hidden files. Any file that starts with the dot is referred to as hidden files. And then you have to use the long format to display the hidden files. That means you have 3 parameters to look into. So let's go back. Let's see how to actually run it first before writing it into the shebang. Let's play this. Now, how do we list first? We know it's what? ls. ls. So how do we display it in a long form? We know it's minus L. All right. Now, how do we list them to include their hidden files? That we don't know. But we can simply find help from ls. So we go back to ls minus help. That's the manual. Then let's see how to list the hidden file. I think we read that before. If you look at the top part, we see minus A. Do not ignore entries starting with dot. Now, this has already answered our question. So since we got the answer already, we can play this. And then let's try that for before we go into writing the code in the bash. We have ls minus L, that's the long format. And then the A stands for do not ignore the dot. Enter. Okay, you can see dot here, you can see dot here, and then the other file. So let's look at the example, and then you can see dot here, dot here, and then the other file. So we are correct. Hence, we can now go ahead to write the code inside the bash. So we Emacs, let's get the file name. Then paste here, enter. In bash, ls minus la, you can use al, it's the same thing. Enter, then we save and exit. Okay, then we grant permission. Okay, so if you try to run the program, they're still gonna have that file there. So you can now git add. Okay, we are done with that task. We now go to number 5. Display current directory content, long format. That's one criteria with users and group IDs displayed numerically. And hidden files starting with dot. We know how to display in long formats. We know how to display hidden files, but we don't know how to display them in numerical order, which is this. So let's make a little research on that and then find out where to get or how to get the answer. All right. Okay, so let's go and then find out how to do that. We'll still get back to our ls, because everything is about list, so it's still going to be in the ls. Help us to find which number or how do you print in numbers. So if you just go through this, just look at it one after the other, you will definitely find your answer. But since I know the answer already, I'll simply tell you it is the minus n, because you see the numeric values like -1, but the list numeric users and group IDs. So this match the requirement. All right. So that means I will need L for the long list, I'll need A for the hidden file, and I will need N for the numeric content. So let's clear this and see if that works. So we have the ls, the flag minus L for the long, A for the hidden files, and then N for the numeric. Enter. Now you can see that we have the numeric values listed here. So let's see if that meets the criteria. Yeah, you can see this is the same thing with what they have here. The numbers are here and it's listed accordingly, exactly what you have here. So we are correct. We can now go to Emacs. Let's get the file name. I didn't get the file name. So we get the file name from here. And then we pressed it here, right? That was ls minus LAN. All right. Enter. Then we can save this and exit. Let's grant permission chmod plus x, and then the file name. Hit the enter key. We can try to check if that is correct. So dot slash the file name, enter. It prints exactly what we needed. So we can now hit add, push. Okay, that is done. We've actually done the first 5 questions. So if I want to complete it, it's gonna be 2 tutorials for the video. In my next video, that is part 2, I'll start from question 6 to explain to you. Thank you for having me around, and ensure you subscribe to this channel for more important guide through your ALX program. Thank you for having me around. I'm Engine Tech. I love you guys. Bye for now.